Grr, arg.
Welcome to the premiere of season 7 of the Mixtape podcast. I will be your host. My name is Dean, and I'm joined by my co-host Marcelo. And we talk about movies from a screenplay / fans perspective. And this week, I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. We are doing 1979 Alien. And it was directed by the legendary Ridley Scott, and the screenplay was by Dan O'Bannon. And if you don't know what the original Alien movie is about, I'm going to tell you. The crew of a commercial spacecraft encounters a deadly life form after investigating a mysterious transmission of unknown origin. I want to start off by saying the production design and the set design on this movie is absolutely phenomenal. This movie holds up today. If you literally took the set that they were working on and made a movie today, it works. Everything is pitch perfect. I was just looking at everything so closely, and it is perfect to what I feel like a kind of like a spaceship, I guess, or a towing vehicle, as the Nostromo is, would look like. What do you think? Before we get into it, what do you think about the set design, the production design of the whole film?
Oh, the production design and the set design of the film is without question fantastic, because it just puts you in the world of Alien. And I particularly like well, I'm gonna put this in one basket, but I like the actual physical creature design in Alien, because that, to me, by Stan Winston, is phenomenal. But I do believe that if you took this set with some tweaks here and there, it could work as a modern spaceship for sure.
Yeah, so the opening scene to Alien is this. We get words on the screen: commercial towing vehicle, the Nostromo, crew 7, cargo, refinery, processing 20 million tons of mineral ore. Is that what it is? O-R-E? I'd never heard of that before.
Yes, mineral ore. Mineral ore.
Returning to Earth. So we're in space and we see the massive ship Nostromo. Nostromo's massive. And for a crew of 7... I reckon it's bigger than what is the Darth Vader ship called? Does his ship have a name? It's bigger than that. Does it have a name? Like, not the Death Star, like his actual ship. Does the ship? The Star Wars fans are going, "You fucking idiots!" It's called this.
It's I'm blanking out. Wait a minute. The Star Destroyer. Sorry.
All right. Okay. So it's bigger than that. It's just so massive. And we're introduced to the crew as they wake from stasis. So we've got Captain Dallas, Executive Officer Kane, Warrant Officer Ripley, Navigator Lambert, Science Officer Ash, and the 2 engineers, Parker and Brent. And yeah, I've written down set design is amazing. So Dallas tells the crew the ship has picked up a transmission from a planet of unknown origin, and they are going to investigate what it is. Now, a lot of people say this movie is slow. A lot of people go Aliens is better. I disagree. I think Alien is the best. This is how you do story structure. This is how you introduce characters, and you actually give a shit when they die. And I don't think it's slow at all. I think the story has a really, really good pace. Is there a lot of action like there is in Aliens? No, but this movie is more subtle. It's more suspenseful than all out action, and that's what I like about it. It's really fucking creepy, whereas the second one I also love, but it's more shoot 'em up. So what do you think about the opening scene? But what do you think about Alien versus Aliens?
Aliens is like going to a really, really fun roller coaster and not stopping, and it's a nonstop finish until you get off the roller coaster, throw up, and get back on. And Alien is like going through a really, really creepy house and holding your breath for 20 minutes and then thinking you're going to get out, but realizing that you're not going to get out and you're stuck in this horrifying fun house.
Oh wow, that's really good. That's a really good comparison.
I do, yeah. I do think. Look, I do think that both films have merit, but they are both fundamentally different in the way that they're made. Both very, very effective for what they're trying to do. The one thing that I really, really like about this film from the outset that I just noticed this time is the lighting.
Mm.
The lighting of the actual set and watching these characters go and investigate, or watching these characters walk through the sets. The lighting of this movie does 50% of the work for the 50% of the work for the way the audience is supposed to feel as they watch these characters that they get attached to as we go through the film. The other thing that I like about this film is that the screenplay writer doesn't tell you much about the people on or the some people on the ship, but what he does tell you are things that you latch onto and you relate with, even if you're not in their even if you're not in their specific frame of job, you relate with what the screenplay writer tells you about them. So I thought that the photography in this film was fantastic, and I thought that the screenplay writer gave you enough to make you invested in these characters and to make you care ultimately when they met their end.
Yeah, because what the screenwriter has done is, and a lot of screenwriters try to do this, but they don't really get there. He's taking you on a journey and he's trying to make you go in every scene. You're like, what is going on? What is happening? But he gives you just enough many breadcrumbs to go to the next scene. Whereas, some movies, the screenwriter, they won't give you anything. And by halfway through the movie, you're like, I don't even care what's going on. Like, I don't even care what the mystery is because it's just so boring. But in every single scene, he gives you just enough to go, okay, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. And I really, really enjoyed that from him. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic choice, and you make a really, really good point. So many films get so wrapped up with hiding things from the audience and keeping their characters shrouded in mystery. And I'm like, no, guys, don't do that. I mean, if you want to make a mystery film, make a mystery film, but give your audience breadcrumbs and give them little things to latch onto and give them little character traits of the characters that you are going to take that you're going to allow them to experience the movie through, so to make them care about the characters, so when you put your characters in unwinnable situations or in moments when they could possibly die, the audience could care. So I think that the writer did a fantastic job with, like Dean said, just giving you enough to make you interested in this situation and to keep you invested in these characters.
So the first scene, Dallas, Kane, and Lambert, they land on the planet to investigate the signal, the transmission that they got on the ship. And they come across a massive, massive ship and board it. And they enter a room with, there's basically a giant skeleton that sits on a giant chair with what looks like a fucking giant, massive weapon pointed up in front of them. And if you've seen Prometheus, that's in Prometheus. And it's actually like, that's the backstory to like what the fuck that is.
Prometheus, which we've reviewed on this show.
We've reviewed on the show. And they investigate and see his ribs have burst open as if something has exploded inside of him. So that's like clue number one, that if you haven't seen this movie, you're like, oh, whatever. But it's not whatever. It's like the fucking nuggets.
It's not whatever.
And so Kane decides to go deeper into the ship and investigate.
Idiot.
And because we know what happens.
Can I just ask you something? What in the world was Dallas thinking when Mother sent them this signal out in the ether? What compelled him to say, "Oh, we are a ship that is invested in rescuing people. They're a mining ship. What the fuck?" Like,
well, he actually said, because Ripley didn't want to do it. She was like, no, we're not doing it. But he actually said his orders that if there's a transmission that comes from any unknown planet, his orders are to investigate it. So he had to. He had no choice. That was why he did it.
Okay. I must miss that line every time I watch this movie, because every time I watch this movie, I have the same issue. I probably missed that line.
Yeah.
Every time.
Because they didn't want to go. And he was like, no, well, my orders are to go. And it wasn't a distress signal. It was just a transmission. So they didn't know if there were people on the planet. They didn't know anything. But once we get into the movie, we'll know why he was given those orders, because it translates back to Ash and all that shit. So anyway,
it comes back. A hat on the ground.
Exactly. It comes back. So Kane goes deeper and finds a room full of eggs. I love how this was shot. The DOP on this. Fuck, man. This was shot so perfectly. It was so dark, but it was just light enough that you could just see a little bit. And it was very foreboding and it was very mysterious. He finds a room full of like these giant eggs. Like they're oversized, massive eggs, maybe like 2-3 feet tall. And he gets close to one of them because fuck, why not? You're on an alien ship. Let's get close to a fucking egg. And one of them kind of opens up and something jumps out of it and jumps onto and latches onto Kane's helmet, forcing him back. And that's the end of that scene. So thoughts?
This scene is terrifying. Very, very claustrophobic, because I just kept thinking to myself, what the fuck are you doing, man? Don't go down that hole. Don't get close to that egg. Don't look at the... this scene just made me so uncomfortable and so anxiety ridden in a good way. I think that the lighting in the scene is fantastic. The setup to him looking over the thing, and I also like the cut from when the thing jumps on the guy's face and it cuts immediately to the Nostromo, I believe. It's just a great cut. If this was a modern movie, the filmmakers would have stayed on that scene, but the fact that Ridley the fact that the editor of the film and Ridley went away from that scene so quick, that really builds up the mystery, and that makes the audience believe that, oh, something freaky just happened, but this guy's going to be okay. What's the worst that could happen to him?
Yep. So Dallas and Lambert get back to the ship, asking Ripley to open the door because something has attached itself to Kane and Kane's helmet, and we have to get him to the infirmary. Now, Ripley, in her wisdom, does not want to fucking open the door. She doesn't want to open the hatch because she's like, well, you could be bringing an infection into the ship and we could all be exposed to it. Like, what is that? Because they know it's an alien presence and she has every right to fucking not do it. She's like, no, I'm not opening it, right? Ash, who is the science officer, is at the door and he presses the button and he basically overrides Ripley and opens the door. You'll find out later why he does that if you haven't seen the movie, but that always ticked me the fuck off. Ash, even if you don't know his character, he's just a little shit. He's a little shit. What do you think?
Yeah, look, that always pissed me off because Ripley is the second in command on the ship, right?
She actually says because Dallas is the captain, Kane is the executive officer. When those two are off the ship, then she's the boss.
It always fucking pissed me off why Ash opened the door. And when I was a kid watching this movie, because I had it on, my family had Alien. My family had Alien and Aliens in a giant box set, and I didn't see this movie for years, but when I finally got up the courage to watch these movies and not be terrified to death, that was a scene that always bugged me. I'm like, why didn't you fucking listen to Ripley? I was always pissed that Ash overruled her in that moment. I'm like, what is the deal with this guy? But as the film goes along, you understand why he did that and why he acts so funny throughout this whole movie.
So Kane's in the infirmary and they remove Kane's helmet to discover the infamous face hugger. Whoever designed, I don't know, was it Stan Winston who actually designed the face hugger as well?
Yeah. I think it was Stan Winston.
Genius, because that thing is the weirdest looking, creepiest looking shit that I've seen in any fucking alien movie, like across any movie that has fucking aliens in it. The face hugger is fucked. More fucked than the actual alien, I think. So anyway, attaches to his face. Yeah, right. And an X-ray sees that it's got something. Terrifying. It is. It's fucking terrifying. X-ray sees that it's got something down its throat. So it's attached to his face and it's put something down its throat. And they can't really see what it is or what it's doing, but he's still alive. He's still breathing. And so they're like, well, okay, so we have to remove it. They try to remove it. I love this. They try to remove it by cutting one of its kind of fingers, I guess, wrapped around Kane's face. And the blood is acid, which is such a stroke of fucking genius, I thought, to make its blood acid. So you can't actually kill it. Otherwise, it's going to burn through the hole and you're going to die. It's just masterful thinking. And I was just like, oh my, the first time I saw that, I was like, the blood is acid? That's fucking genius. So what did you think?
That by the screenplay writer is a stroke of genius, because having the alien's blood be acid just makes it that much more horrific for humans, because anybody who's going to try and cut into this thing, the last thing that they're expecting is acid, and it just ratchets up the mystery of this thing. And how in the fuck did that happen? Where is this thing from? What was the deal with that with the space jockey? Like, the whole mystery of this movie is fantastic. I mean, I would love to watch like a documentary on how the hell they came up with some of the quirks for the alien, and how they came up with some of the backstory for the alien. I think it's just pretty cool the way that they did it.
The reason for the acid blood, that wasn't actually in the original script, but the screenwriter was like, okay, well, we've got to stop them from killing it, right? So how do we stop them from killing it? Because they'll just shoot it. It'll be really easy for them to kill it. And then his, one of his friends was like, why don't you just make the blood acid? So they literally, like, they can't. And he was like, oh, that's a good idea. And that's how it happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were trying to come up with a way where it was kind of indestructible. So next, Ripley confronts Ash, as she fucking should, about overriding her orders. When Dallas and Kane are off the ship, she's the senior officer, which she tells him. And since Ash is the science, she says, well, since you're the science officer, you must have just forgot protocol, right? She's a bit of a fucking smartass in this scene, which I love, but she plays it straight, right? She goes, you just must have forgot. And Ash goes, I didn't forget. And Ripley goes, oh, so you just intentionally broke the rules. And again, Sigourney delivers the line straight. She wasn't doing it to be a dick. She was very passive aggressive. But I feel she's so nice. I would have gone in there guns blazing, going, come here. I want to fucking say something to you. You obey my orders, and that's it. If you override me again, I'm going to throw your ass in the brig. If there's a fucking, like, I would just be like, she's just nice. But I love Ripley. Everybody loves Ripley. But in that scene, she was very passive aggressive. So thought
Ripley is a fucking boss. I really love the way that Ripley handled that, because Ripley, I think, has some understanding that she is in a man's world, and if she wants to get her point across, she has to do it in a certain way, with a certain tone of voice. And look, this situation is getting a little bit out of control, but it's not to the point of guys, what the fuck are we doing here? So I do think that Ripley's way of interacting with her crewmates, especially throughout this movie, is a fantastic class of how to deal with dicks in a passive aggressive way, because everything that she says to almost everybody in this movie, besides Dallas, is in a passive aggressive way.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. She finds her balls later on, which I do enjoy. So there's an arc there. There's a reason why she's so nice, because it's like she has to turn into a boss bitch, which she does. So they check on Kane, and the face hugger is gone from his face. And they're like, all right, where the fuck did it go? And they find it dead. And as they prod it, Ash wants to take it back to Earth to do more tests. And Ripley is like, this is not a good idea. This is a terrible idea. And she looks at Dallas, because Dallas is the captain. And Dallas goes, well, I'll just leave it up to Ash to decide. Like, this has nothing to do with me.
Why? Why the fuck?
I know. This is the issue that I have. Yeah, I know. Ripley confronts Dallas afterwards, because she got balls. She's getting balls. And he says the science stuff isn't his business. He just captains the ship. Now, I know a captain, and she makes everything her business. And that captain's name is Catherine Janeway. Everything is her business. Right? Nothing gets done without her fucking orders. So the fact that he's like, I'm just the captain means you fucking can override anybody and everybody. He's not the chief medical officer. He's fucking science officer. So the fact that he's like, oh, do whatever you want, was just a bit like, come on, Dallas.
Yeah, look. I thought Dallas should have taken responsibility in that moment. He is responsible for the wellness of all seven crew members, and that includes the motherfucking medical officer
Yeah.
who wants to take the thing to Earth and do tests on it. You have to make the best decision for your crew, and and entertaining a psychopath or not a psychopath in this moment, as it's as Ash may or may not be, is not the best thing that you can do right now. And excuse me, aren't you a some sort of oil driller, or aren't you some sort of engineer? So why are you agreeing with a passive aggressive fucking science officer who, again, you outrank? So what are
Yeah.
you doing?
I don't know. That just always pissed me off. I'm like, dude. You know what would have been better if he said no, destroy it, and then Ash went behind his back and didn't. That would make more sense.
That would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been better.
That would have been better.
So now Kane has awakened. He's randomly awake and he's happy. He's smiling. He's like, yeah, I'm a bit hungry. He's talking. He's jovial. Doesn't seem to have any issues on the outside. That ever, right? On the outside. And so they all are like, great, let's just have something to eat. Let's have dinner. So they're having dinner. And it's the infamous, the iconic scene where everything's fine. And then Kane begins to convulse and he begins to have like sort of like a seizure. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And he's lying on the table and his chest bursts open. The baby alien pops out and kind of growls at everybody. And everyone's like, don't touch it, right? Interesting. I think it was Ash that says don't touch it, which is interesting because it's like, I get it because you wouldn't want to touch it, but it's just like, and then it just zooms off and the crew is like, what the fuck? This thing just bursts out of his chest. Kane is dead. There's this little fucking alien thing that's run off and it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, Ash is the one that says don't touch it, which is kind of funny.
And we know
because
why.
He's the one that, yeah, we know why. When Ridley Scott was filming that scene, he didn't tell anybody about the practical effects of the facehugger coming out of John Hurt.
Mm.
So everybody's reaction of them screaming and losing their shit is exactly real. So I really like that decision by Ridley Scott not to tell his actors that was going to come out of John Hurt, to get as real as a reaction as he could. The other thing about the scene that I noticed, especially this time watching the film, they're freaked out and they're nervous, but they're not freaked out and nervous enough. They're still a little calm to me. And I'm like, you guys should be more freaked out, but the fact that they aren't, or at least they're hiding it really well. What do you think about that?
I think because the alien that bursts out of his chest is so small, it's like not a threat. So I think, yeah, I mean, they were screaming. I just think, in the next scene, they're very calm. And they're calm because it's like, what's the point in panicking? Like, let's just get this thing, let's get it off the ship, Kane's, you know what I mean? So like, I get it.
I guess I wanted more panic.
Pain.
Than
You wanted more pain.
Pain and panic, yes.
So now the search begins for the little alien dude. And Ash has designed a gadget that detects motion within certain distances. And I love this because anybody that's played Alien Isolation, one of the best games ever, you actually do use that device that Ash designs. And it's really, really cool.
That's a great game, by the way.
It is. They split off into two groups and begin the search. So Brett, the engineer, he is looking for... So there's this cat that they have on the ship and he's looking for the cat. And he's...
Fuck this cat.
But this cat survives. Spoiler alert.
I know, but fuck this cat.
So he's looking for the cat and he walks into this really awesome designed room. Like every room in this ship is the same, but it's very different. I don't know if that makes sense, but it looks the same, but it's different. And he walks into a room and it's a very tense scene because it's very dark. And there's like chains hanging from the ceiling, and it's very Ridley hasn't used much music in this scene, and so it's very eerie, it's very suspenseful, and he stays on Brett for a few minutes, right? But it's not boring because Brett is like looking for the cat, and every time you hear a noise, you think it's the cat, but it's not. But you think it's the cat because you see the cat's in there, and he's trying to coax the cat out. So he bends down, he sees the cat. And behind him, we just see the alien's head. And this is, you see the tail come down and then you see kind of part of the alien head, and it's massive now. So the time it's taken for it to grow from something that's like maybe 30 centimeters long, it's massive, and it hasn't even been like an hour or two, because they're not looking for something massive. They're looking for like a little thing. So when you see it for the first time, and I cannot even imagine what it would have been like in the cinema in 1979, watching this for the first time, going, what? Nobody had ever seen anything like this. So it appears behind him, and it's ugly, and you see its mouth, and there's like the acid, it's got acid fucking spit that's like coming down its face. And then Brett gets dead. But Ridley uses a really cool shot. He doesn't show Brett dying. He shows the cat watching Brett dying, which I thought was a stroke of genius from Ridley.
You know what that does? That lets the audience think about what is happening.
Yep.
So many movies nowadays show you what happens. And that to me takes away the fear if you can see it.
Yep.
But if you can't see it and if you can hear it, it's 100 times worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the most claustrophobic, most tense scene in the movie, and that is Dallas searching the fucking air ducts. When I saw this for the first time,
I hate this scene.
I love this scene. The way that it was shot, Ridley, amazing. You feel so closed in. The only light is the flamethrower that Dallas has, and it can only light like a few feet in front of him. It's filmed so well. I love it. Now the crew, they know that Brett's dead, and they know that it's kind of using the air ducts to move around. And the crew are using the tracking device that Ash invented to track Dallas, but also see if there's anything around him, because they want to trap the alien. So that's why he's in the air ducts. But also, obviously, also warn him of anything else that's up there that's coming towards him. The crew pick up something on the tracker moving towards Dallas really fast in the air duct. Now, he can't see because he can only see a few feet in front of him, right? And then he turns and it's fucking right there. Like, fucking right there. And Ridley uses you only see the alien for a second.
It's a second.
It doesn't linger on him. It's like boom, and he's gone, and then fucking Dallas is dead. Beautifully shot. Like Marcelo said, the less you see of the alien, the kind of it jacks up the suspense of it. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
The lighting in this scene is so good.
So good.
Because you can hardly see anything, but like Dean said a little bit earlier, you see just enough to put you on edge. And the claustrophobic thing of the scene, it made me feel like I was running out of breath.
Yeah.
Every second that I was watching this movie. And it's in this scene that there's a moment when Brett goes through one of the junctions, and he interacts with some slime, and I'm like, oh shit. And I kept saying to the screen, I kept saying, look up, look up, look up, look up, look up. I was so convinced that the alien was going to come from above him, but I'm like, he can't look up. He's in a fucking air duct, you fool.
Yeah.
Right about before he gets dead, I was like, oh, now I remember what's going to happen. And then it happens, and it's great. And the fact that Ridley doesn't linger on it, and just you see the thing for a second, I think that's a great way to wrap it up, the expectation of what this thing could potentially look like.
Yes. So now the crew have a meeting because their captain and their executive officer are dead. And now Ripley takes charge because she's the senior officer now. And she tells them, I love this scene because this is when she gets balls, because the other Parker's freaking the fuck out. And she's like, shut the fuck up and listen to what I have to say. And he's like, all right, fine, yeah. He just bows to what she's saying, which he should, because she's the commanding officer. She tells them, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go like bulkhead by bulkhead, sealing everything off until we have it cornered, and then we're going to blow it the fuck out into space. And then Parker goes, so we're going to kill it? And she's like, yeah, that's what it means, blowing it out into space. but the way that Sigourney plays it is so straight. Again, it's not, she's raising her voice, but she's not aggressive. She just plays it beautifully. So Ripley accesses the computer, Mother, they call it. And she learns the truth. She learns that Ash has special instructions only for him, nobody else knows about it, to return the organism from the planet For analysis, all other considerations secondary, crew expendable. So now you know what his secret mission is. Now you know why they told the ship, if you find a transmission, investigate, because they knew they were going to find a planet with the transmission. So that forced Dallas's hand to go investigate. You know why Ash wanted to save the facehugger organism, and you know why he said don't touch it when it bursts out of Kane's chest. And it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
you dweeb, you little
yeah,
dweeb.
but also I love in that scene that the mother in the file that they had on Ash, they didn't say one other thing. They forgot something, and this reveal when I was watching the movie for the first time blew my socks off. I won't say it
Oh
because
yeah,
Dean's going to
me
address
too.
it in a sec. Yeah, Dean is going to address that in a second, but I do want to talk about the moment where Ripley basically goes, "I'm captain now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
It,
listen to me now.
it's just yeah, it's just a great moment because I love the way that Sigourney plays it because, like Dean said, she's not forceful, but she's very, very assertive with her wording, and she's
Mm,
very of matter of fact.
yeah.
Parker and Brett, I just a quick word on them.
Mm,
They're so good
so good.
as characters. You know why they're so good as characters? Because they complain. That's the
Yeah.
only thing they do.
I love him. I love him.
That's the only thing they do throughout this whole movie. And if you guys remember at the beginning of this episode, we said if you can give us just enough to make us care about these characters, when real shit starts to happen to them, we will care. If you can make them relatable enough. And I think the writer did that by making Brett and Parker just complain about not getting their raise and wanting to go home and complaining about shit that wasn't important was a fantastic way to make us care about them and eventually care about the way that they're going to die,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a great way, but I also would like to point out that it's a really, really it's a great hat on the ground that the writer set up of telling the audience one thing by having Mother make it so they had to investigate any unknown signal in the universe, but to present that as one thing, but then turn it on its head in the third act is just great
Yeah.
writing in my point of view. It's just fantastic writing, and I love the way that the screenplay writer did that.
I think the writing in this movie is perfect. Like, I think everything just
Yeah.
works. I think the directing is perfect. There's only one thing in this movie that I don't like, and I thought, oh, Ridley, you could have done better, and I will address it. Only one thing. Everything else to me is perfection, but we'll get to it. So this is the scene where Ash finds out that Ripley knows about his orders, and he attacks her, and he's so menacing. The way that this actor plays it, like he's strong, right? He's like super strong, and he forces her down, and then he gets a magazine, and he's turning it really tight, and he like forces it down her throat, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you fucking doing? Parker and Lambert rush in and try to get him off her, but they're struggling, and Parker's a big dude, and he's fucking struggling to get this little guy Ash off Ripley. And yeah, like I said, Ash has superior strength, and Parker hits Ash in the head with like a metal pipe, and his head falls back, revealing he's actually an android. So when I saw that for the first time, I was like, what?
What?
What? So tell me thoughts.
It is this scene. This scene is so good because when I was a kid, I had no idea. And when Ash gets whacked with a fucking, I think it's a fire extinguisher,
Yeah, something like that.
and his head goes back, and you see these yellow, these white veins start popping everywhere,
Yeah.
and and him start wiling out. I'm like, holy shit, this is the best movie ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but but the fact that the writer kept that a secret for the whole movie, and that explains Ash's behavior.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, it
I
does.
mean, look, it would be it. it's one thing that the company gave him a secret mission. That's fine. But the way that he acts around this alien thing is really funky and it's really strange.
If you watch Ash, if anybody listening to this wants to go back and watch the movie, you can the writer has put in certain parameters where you know something's up with Ash, but you don't notice it until you watch the movie a second time around, right? So everything that happens, Kane dying, the alien killing other people, all this shit,
It's
Ash,
so weird.
it's weird, but look at Ash's reactions to everything. He doesn't have empathy, he doesn't have sympathy, he doesn't have compassion. He's void of emotion, which is what an android kind of is. So the screenwriter did drop hints, and it's like, oh, that's why he doesn't give a shit, because he doesn't have the emotions. So, which was great writing again.
Yeah. Also later in life, I found it really interesting and a nice tip of the cap that Ash is played by the actor who played Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo Baggins.
Was it? Was it the same actor?
Yeah, it's the same actor.
Cool.
So it's so every time I see this film as an adult, I'm like, it's Bilbo Baggins. That to me was the reveal of the film for me when I was a kid, and every time that I'm an adult, I'm just waiting for that moment, and it's just fan-fucking-tastic. And the moment that's even more unsettling is when they take Ash's head, and it's still got the alien, the robot goo on his head. They take his head, and they take his body, and they put it on a table, and he just talks about the alien. And the way that he talks and the way that they modulated his voice, it's just the creepiest thing ever. It's just
I love that.
Fucking unsettling. It's just fantastic the way that they did it.
So Ripley tells Parker to rewire him, Ash, because they need to ask how to kill the alien, because he would be the only one that would know what to do. So like Marcelo said, the special effects people are great. The I don't know what the fuck they used to show his veins and blood and all that shit. It was beautiful. So he's just like a severed head on the table. And yeah, they modulated his voice and it just sounded really cool. So they ask him, they're like, Ash, how do you kill the alien? And he says, you can't. It's a perfect organism. And then he says, I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. And you're just like, oh my God, burn. What? What the fuck? So Ripley,
and then he does,
and then so now Parker basically gets the flamethrower and is like, fuck this guy. just burns the rest of his body. Like, he's not going to give us anything. So Ripley tells Parker and Lambert, we're going to get to the shuttle and we're going to blow up the ship. That is the mission from the rest of the movie. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, Ripley telling Parker to rewire Ash is fantastic, but the speech that Ash gives just really confirms to me that Ash is an android. He doesn't care, because if he cared about the crew, he would have helped them. He would have had some empathy when shit started to go down. But the other thing that made me believe that Ash, the android, is a wackadoo. He goes, it's a perfect organism. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What is perfect about that thing? That thing is just a walking, talking, killing machine that all it wants to do is kill and reproduce.
Yeah.
And you're saying that that's a perfect organism?
Yeah.
He can't even fucking talk.
Yeah, exactly. So Parker and Lambert are gathering supplies, making so much fucking noise, and then a surprise when the alien shows up and fucking kills them. Dude, if there's an alien running around a ship,
so stupid.
they are like throwing metal shit everywhere. I know that they got to do it quickly, but for fuck, stop making so much noise. I mean, the alien is an animal. It's going to be attracted to loud noises. Stop making the whole time. I'm like, shut the fuck up. What the hell? And then they die because they're making so much fucking noise. Ripley hears the screams, but by the time she gets to them, they're fucking dead. And then Ripley's the only one on the ship. And this is Sigourney Weaver's time to fucking shine. Ripley rushes to the emergency destruct system and activates it. An alarm sounds saying the emergency destruct has been activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 10 minutes. But if you want to stop it, if you want to like pause it, stop it, you have 5 minutes. So she's like, great, I got 10 minutes to get to the fucking shuttle. She rushes to the shuttle and it's tense She rushes to the shuttle, but the alien is blocking her path, the only path to the shuttle. And she's like, oh, fucking shit. So she runs back to try and stop the self-destruct. And it's such a tense scene because the computer is counting down to how many seconds she has because there's a cutoff. After the cutoff, you can't stop the self-destruct. And she misses it by seconds. And now she has 5 minutes to get to the shuttle, get off the ship, and get as far away as possible. And you're like, how the fuck is she going to do this?
I loved Parker's death scene and the girl's death scene as well, because Parker is like, get out of the way, get out of the way. And as he's saying, get out of the way, the alien is standing up and you're getting a really good look. And that thing looks fucking terrifying as all fuck, but it looks so fucking cool.
So good.
And his mouth starts opening up and up. Oh my God, she's gonna get it. She's gonna get it. And the fact is, you don't see her get it, but you see Parker get it. And I love the way that Ripley shoots it, because he does a close up of Parker's face and he has blood in his teeth. He's like struggling, and then you see a quick thing go. And you're like, what the fuck is that? And it's the thing, but you don't see it. And I absolutely love the way that it's shot. I also love the way that at this point it becomes Ripley's moment to shine, like Dean said. She has this idea of what she wants to do at first, but because she's so stressed out and because she's so fucking panicked, she misses the opportunity to stop the self-destruct, and she's forced to evacuate now. And I really, really love the progression that the screenplay writer does in a very, very short period of time.
So the second most tense scene in the movie, Ripley creeping through those fucking tunnels, not the tunnels, but like the ship, which look like tunnels, trying to get to the shuttle and not bump into the alien. This, again, is from the game Alien Isolation. It is amazing the way that it's shot. Ridley does a great job. The cinematography, the DOP does an amazing job. Fucking Sigourney Weaver is sweating bullets, which you would be sweating bullets if that thing was after you, because she does it. It's so quiet that you don't know where the fuck it is. So she eventually makes it to the shuttle with 1 minute to spare, because there's flashing lights, there's the countdown going. You're totally, you've got anxiety. Imagine watching this in the cinema. There's total anxiety going on. She detaches from the ship and she flies away from the ship, and then the ship self-destructs. So thoughts?
Watching this today, I got anxiety because watching Sigourney Weaver try and go through the corridors and not run into the alien is so fantastic. I do think that it was this brilliant idea that Ridley Scott had and his writer of not making the alien have like a signature sound or something, because the fact that you don't hear anything,
that's way scarier than a fucking sound.
Yeah. The fact that you don't hear anything, like Dean just said, is 100 times scarier. And I think if this movie was made today, they would give the alien a sound to tip the audience that it was something bad was coming, which is fine, but it's not effective. You want to, your job in a horror movie is to scare people, not to brace them going, okay, guys, here it comes, and then have it come out. But I also agree with the belief that whatever type of movie that you're making, it should have a ticking time bomb, so your audience understands that the roller coaster that they've been on for an hour or 90 minutes or 80 minutes is about to be over. And it also heightens up the anxiety if you have a ticking time bomb. If you have a ticking time bomb inserted in your story, and it just makes it 100 times better. When I was a kid and she made it to the shuttle, I thought the movie was over.
Yeah. Yep.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
What was about to happen.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you could talk about the scene, but I just want to hear your recollections about when you were a kid watching this movie for the first time. What were you thinking when the ship blew up?
The end. Yay. So, okay. This is the part of the movie where you go, oh, she's safe and all is well in the world again, and she's going to make it back to Earth. It's going to be all fun, whatever. And then you go, wait a minute, there's still like 15 minutes left. What is happening? So, as Ripley's winding down, she's like, oh, I've made it. Everything's good. It's funny because I've never noticed this before. She's doing something on the computer and you can actually see they've filmed it so well. The alien's head, but you think it's a part of the ship because he's got his head curled around, but you can see the alien's head's right there. And she doesn't notice it because it's the same color as the fucking ship. And you're like, oh, when you're watching it, like, the second time, you notice it. And so she turns around and then she notices the alien is basically sleeping in a crevice in the fucking ship. And Sigourney Weaver's acting. She doesn't say anything. She's just like, because she knows if she makes a fucking sound, she's gone. She is gone. So she slowly moves towards putting her spacesuit on. Very fucking tense. Very fucking tense scene, right? Because she doesn't take her eyes off the alien. She's putting her leg in the spacesuit, does not take her fucking eyes off the alien, and it's starting to shift. It's just napping, basically. It's killed people, it's eaten, and she puts the suit on. She puts the helmet on. She steps out very, very slowly. She's got this like gun with her. That's it's kind of like a crossbow gun thing where it like shoots out an arrow with a cord attached to the gun. She steps out slowly.
It looks like a harpoon.
Yeah, it looks like a mini harpoon. She walks to the computer very slowly. She sits down. She clicks in. It's so fucking tense. And the alien's kind of starting to stir. And at this point, you're going, what is she doing? Like, what? I didn't know what she was doing the first time I watched this movie. And then she presses a button because she's got to lure it out of the crevice. Otherwise, what she does next is not going to work. So she sprays it with steam. And it kind of goes, oh, fuck. It jumps. It's like if you roll out of bed. It's like if you've just been woken up after a nap and you roll out of bed. You're like, where am I? What's going on? That's like his reaction, right? Fuck? And so he's there and he goes right up to her fucking helmet. She screams, presses the button, and it opens that fucking airlock. And you're like, oh, she's blowing it out the airlock. That's why she's putting on a spacesuit and locking herself into the chair. He flies out and he holds on to the side. She's got the harpoon gun. She shoots him. And this is the only shot that I didn't like. She shoots him, shuts the airlock. Ridley's got a shot from behind the alien and the harpoon is stuck in him, right? And so he's just kind of floating. I didn't like the shot. The reason I didn't like the shot is because you can tell it's someone in a suit. You can tell. If he had told the actor in the suit to curl your body in a really weird way, okay, but you can tell it's a guy in a suit, and I thought, oh, no, that kind of just kills it for me. Ripley can see that it's not complete, the alien is not completely detached. So what she does is he swings over to like, that's the engine part?
The engines.
And then she turns it on and just burns the motherfucker alive. She cooks him. And that's basically it. And then she just gets into the stasis pod and she's headed back to Earth, and that's it. Loved it.
I love this sequence, but for a really, really fucked up reason. Well, it's not fucked up, but it's a fucking thing with me that I have when I was a kid. And this is not a joke, guys. This is something that totally happened to me. I was watching this movie one time. And this scene was coming up, right? But all of a sudden, I saw this thing out of the corner of my eye, right? And I look on the floor and it's this giant spider. And I'm going, of course, you go, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So I stopped the movie. I spent 30 minutes trying to figure out how to get close to the spider to get him to get the fuck out of my room and to get him out of my house. What I ended up doing was I ended up taking a mop from the kitchen of my house, and I physically pushed the spider to the door of my house, and I pushed him the fuck out.
Yeah.
Every time I see this scene with Ripley on the lifeboat, it reminds me of that fucking spider.
It's traumatizing.
So awful.
Oh wow.
But now to the really important stuff. I really love the way that the screenplay writer went against expectations here. Because you think the ship blows up, Ridley is in the escape pod, movie over. But the fact that the screenplay writer and Ridley decided to give the audience that last push of fear was fantastic. I loved watching Sigourney get into the spacesuit, sit into the chair, and I love what she says to calm herself down. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's great. And I love how she pushes the buttons very slowly and methodically. And also, I love your description where you're like, she sprays it with Scream. She sprays the alien with some white steam, but it's like when you get out of bed for the first time, you're like, what the fuck is going on? I found that to be so funny. So that's a credit to you. That's a credit to you. I personally did not see the man in suit. My thing about the scene was, if you notice, when she shoots the alien, the harpoon gets stuck under the door.
The rope, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, you should be worried about the rope getting stuck underneath the door. But I guess once the alien moves over to the hinges, that doesn't matter anymore because she cooked him.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very effective last scene, and it gives the audience that a really, really good last second scare before sending them home to talk about this film and to hopefully not sleep.
Yes, exactly. So, trivia.
Yes, off you go to your trivia.
The face hugger was originally going to be green.
No.
Yeah, but when they made it, because it's prosthetics, obviously when you make prosthetics, it's just a normal like skin color, and they were like, "Oh no, that works better. Don't paint it. That works better. The skin color, the tone." So they ended up keeping it like that, but it was originally going to be green. That I don't know if that would have worked. Maybe, depending on the green.
No.
The dead face hugger. You know how when they were doing the autopsy? So the autopsy, because they used all practical shit, which I love.
Of course,
it was made. Its innards were made with shellfish, oysters, and sheep kidney.
Wow, how the hell did they?
But
Wow,
they had to film the scenes really fast because the overhead lighting was so hot that it was the sheep kidneys and the oysters and the shellfish were just like decaying really fast because it was so hot.
Oh,
These days they
wow,
don't
okay.
use that shit, obviously, but then 1979 they're very innovative and they had to use it.
Yeah, man.
So Meryl Streep was almost cast as Ripley.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, no.
But you know what? To be fair, she wasn't Meryl Streep yet.
No, that's true. I mean, like, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, but no, I can't. No.
Harrison
No.
Ford turned down the role of Dallas.
You
good.
know what? You know what? He would have been good.
He would have been good.
He would have been good.
My last trivia is, thank God they changed it. The original title that the screenwriter gave the film was Star Beast.
No, good God.
So he titled that, and then he was like, "Oh, I don't like that, but I don't know like what else to call it." And as he was reading through his screenplay, he noticed that the word alien was used a bunch of times, and he was like, "Why don't I just call it Alien?" And then he was like, well, I'm sure there are other movies named Alien, and he didn't want to get it confused. And then he looked it up and he's like, no other movie is called Alien. Let's just call it Alien. So that's how the title came.
That is so cool. Star Beast, so bad. Oh God, that would have been
horrible. Star Beast.
Yeah, that would have been horrible.
Oh,
but that is so cool. That is so cool that when he researched it, that's unbelievable. This is 1979.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so surprised that there wasn't a movie called Alien in 1979.
Yeah, nothing. Anyway.
Wow, it's crazy.
That's it. I'm going to close the show. If you're done. Are you done?
I'm done. Take us home.
Thank you for listening, everybody. This is the season 7 premiere of the Mixtape Podcast, and we hope you've enjoyed Alien. If you like it, please subscribe, like, share, do all that stuff. We really, really appreciate it. And if you want to send us an email, you can send us an email at themixtapepod@aol.com. Up next week, we have an absolute banger. We have a cult classic, we are doing maybe the most infamous vampire movie there ever was. We are doing The Lost Boys. So please come back and listen to that. I think that's going to be really fun. And as I say every week, if someone is kind enough to make you a mixtape, that must mean that they really love you. The Mixtape Podcast is a Balloonhead Productions presentation.